Pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming out. We're going to continue the public hearing for the GCCPDD. I'd like to start with a statement from our attorney, which is the response from Putnam County Planner and Putnam County Planning Department, Barbara Barosa.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yesterday, we received a response from County Planning. It says that it's the proposed local law, as far as the county is concerned, is approved as submitted. They did, however, add a non-binding comment, and the non-binding comment said, please carefully review proposed definition of special events to ensure it captures the town's intent for these activities. So I contacted County Planning and asked what they meant by that. And their concern was that the definition of special events as it's currently written in the law provides a special event is an event or gathering of more than 100 spectators related to theatrical events, performances, rehearsals, and cultural events. And as I'm sure you recall, we recently changed the language to add the words, and not listed among the other permitted uses in Section D. And the commissioner pointed out to me that the uses listed in Section D included the open-air theater, as well as the lawns, as well as the gardens. And she said if viewed spatially, instead of as a use, that is to say the lawn is an area instead of the use of a lawn, so too with the gardens, it would encompass anything that happened on the property. And she said you might wind up in a situation where you wouldn't need any special event permits because spatially at least, everything that occurred on the property would be occurring in those areas. Now, I don't think that's the intent of the law, and to be candid with you, I don't think it can be fairly read that way. But county planning is county planning, and in order to avoid any type of misunderstanding as to the limited scope of what's not a special use. The entertainment uses there aren't special uses. The normal passive use of the lawns is not a special use. Normal passive use of the gardens is not a special use. Anything else that happens on the lawns or in the gardens is a special use. You're going to have to come, well, unless it's less than 100 people. Then you have to come to the town and get your special use permit. So what we're proposing to the board is that you just modify slightly the language in the definition of special event. And I've provided you all with a red line of it, at least what our proposal is. So it would now read, a special event, an event or gathering of more than 100 spectators related to theatrical events, performances, rehearsals, and cultural events, and not related to the entertainment use of the open-air theater, the use of the restaurant and banquet hall, or the municipal uses authorized in subsection D. So it's very clear, passive uses only. Anything else is going to require a special event permit. So that's what we're proposing. The board can consider that, and I just wanted anybody who was speaking tonight to be aware that's something we're proposing.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. First of all, before we go any further, I'd like to thank Putnam County Planning for identifying, I wouldn't want to say a mistake, but it's just a different approach to how it could be used. Our understanding now, and the way the law has changed, is the use of the theater and the use of the banquet facility can happen without any special use permit. Anything of more than 100 people outside of those two venues would require a special use permit. So, and you guys understand that as well, so that's clear. The other question I had, which was brought to my attention, and this comes from listening to the public, the capacity of the theater, and I'm not concerned that this group would do it, but we don't know what would happen in the future. If the theater could be used as an amphitheater similar to some of the ones upstate, where the theater would host the event and then the lawn could extend out. So that is not a possibility. You're capped at 500 people at the theater. That's what the EIS was done. So anything above that would require a special use permit by the town board. So you guys are all clear, because that was some questions that came up. But so I will open it up to public comment. Tara, do you have the list? Or is it down there? I'll take it. Thank you, Davis.
Thank you.
Okay, the first we have is Stephen Wallace. So we're going to do the same rules, 3 minutes. We're going to go with 3 minutes. I ask people to please be courteous and stay with the 3 minute time. Judy, Tara, can you do the timer? Thank you, Stephen.
Hello.
You're on.
Ready? Okay. There are a lot of things that are still unclear to me, very unclear to me about right now about how on the proposed new law. The fact that it's called the Garrison Cultural Conservation Plan Development District isn't clear to me, because I don't even know what Garrison Cultural Conservation means. It's not being called the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival Development District. It gives me a lack of ease where even though they've been very good community members in the past, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And that's what I'm looking at now, and what we don't have a crystal ball. One of the things that really is worrisome to me is that in this current plan, code plan, they get a 15-year construction permit with a 5-year renewal. Now, I live right across the street from the course, or the property. And I was here when they explained what the meaning of their having a 15-year permit not coming back or whatever, but I find it incredibly open-ended, and it's most, if I was coming as a potential homeowner to the building department, and I said, I want to build a house, 3 stories, but I only have enough money for the first story, and also I want a 15-year permit with a 5-year renewal. That's 20 years potentially. Even though I'm not going to do it, I'll do it in a year, I promise, or 2 years. But, things happen. That's all I'll say. The fact is that they will have the right, when you sign this, when you vote for this, if you vote for this in its present form, they will have up to 20 years of construction, meaning potentially, not that they're going to use it, but potentially they have the right. It's in the law. And I live across the street, so that means I could potentially have to deal with 20 years of construction. Potentially. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But words matter, and there are things in this potential permit code, that once you sign it or vote on it, it's done. And there's no going back. And I find that to be a great flaw. For me, it's special. It's a special allowance that no other person coming for a prospective applicant for a building permit or something would ever be given. And so I find that to be concerning looking to the future. I find it concerning looking to the future about the amount of single houses, possibly residential, possibly for the lodging and Airbnb, potentially that could happen going to the future, and their usage, whether it's Airbnb, which was discussed last the meeting, possibly or not. It's a concern to me. It's a concern, lastly, just because I know I have to finish, but I don't understand why the Shakespeare Festival that's being given a special permit just to exist in this property, by voting on this as a special permit, being a code, right? So I don't understand why they need a special permit for other events when their event supposedly is just doing Shakespeare. And that's, again, of concern, not just for them, but if there's anything that happens in the future, that's my concern about it becoming a venue or something.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tim Donovan. That was a minute down, just getting on. Go ahead, Tim, you ready? Tim?
I hope you're as tough with the applicant.
Oh, without a doubt.
Thanks. Yeah, a few terms come to mind when I think about the size of the property. One term is maximizing revenue, because they're going to have to maximize revenue, because there's no way to take care of that property unless they maximize revenue. That's a term of art in business. And what that really means is that if they have a 20-year period to build, they will build. My concept of the housing issue, I like the theater, but my concept of the housing issue, that sounds very much like a for-profit business. Things that are being put in the ground up in the Hudson Valley, very nice cottages, and they're excellent for corporate retreats, very valuable, very nice operations. The challenge is all of this is coming out of the school. We're being asked to subsidize that operation, subsidize an initiative to maximize revenue. Now, subsidizing the arts is one thing, and I think that I'm pretty much all in on that. But this doesn't sound like the arts 9 months out of the year. It sounds like a business, a private, for-profit business that will have to use business principles to maximize revenue to actually take care of the property. So the only thing I would suggest is you consider a carve-out of those cottages, how many they have, and look at that as a potential revenue stream or actually as a partial for-profit. I'd also look at restricting the septic system to within the county guidelines of 3 bedrooms, or I think it's actually it's grandfathered in, but I think it's a 1,000-gallon tank and fields. I think we have to start using those kind of limitations, or this can easily get out of hand. So we have maximizing revenue, we have a subsidy, which is a direct subsidy by the school. That is revenue they will not get. And so when we look at that, on the whole, these cottages, I believe, should be taken out of the picture, particularly when they're not going to have anything to do with the primary mission of Shakespeare Festival. Thanks.
Okay, so the next name is Robert Cutler, but Stan Freilich, you have an arrow going up and putting your name in ahead of him. I didn't want to get in the middle of that, so. You're up, Stan, thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Joe Regali who forced me to put the arrow.
We're saving Joe for the end.
Thank you, Tim. Just want to correct one thing that Tim said. The school will lose no revenue from this. The school's budget is the school's budget, and the rest of us will make up what the golf course used to pay. So the school doesn't lose anything, the other taxpayers do. But thank you for that. And I should have identified myself, maybe I have before. I was on the Garrison School Board for 7 years. I was a school board president for 2 years. And I am concerned about the school, of course. In some of the early documents that Shakespeare presented, they claimed that they would be saving the Garrison taxpayers money by doing this project. And I just want to make clear to the board that that is not true. They state that by doing this, they will prevent housing from coming in, which was already prevented by the comprehensive plan. But even if the houses came in, and additional students came in, that would cost the school nothing. And that's because the enrollment at the Garrison School has declined markedly over the last 10 years. When I was on the school board, we had 300 students in that building. There are now roughly 200. The average class size is 12 or 13, and what we need most of all in Garrison is more students. More students going into the Garrison School would cost nothing because a class size could go to, 20 without adding any more staff. There'd be no additional costs. That's the main point I want to make, and just to end by saying that, in fact, to say what I said at the start, this project will add to the Garrison taxes, taxpayers' taxes, not reduce them. Thank you.
Mr. Cutler. Well, we're jumping around. First of all, Joe, I apologize for last Wednesday or the Wednesday that we had this public hearing. I gave you the impression that we were not going to open up to a public hearing, which I shouldn't have,
Yeah.
but I did. So I wanted to apologize to you in
It's fine, I
public.
got home early, it was great.
Good, okay.
I brought some additional copies. I sent the board a letter where I made a series of points, all of which I believe are factual. And 3 minutes, I can't cover them all, but the most important is taxes. This development, and it is a development, there's no question that it's not a development. This development is going to be the beneficiary of a tax deductible contribution. It's going to operate on tax-exempt property. It's going to receive federal tax dollars. It's going to receive state tax dollars. And I believe that it's incumbent upon this group to make an effort to put something back in the community. We're being told that Shakespeare is going to contribute to the community because it's art. Well, I think they could contribute to the community by making a pilot payment. They could voluntarily agree to replace the revenue that's being lost by this property coming off the tax rolls. And we're being told, oh, it's going to generate jobs. Well, I put on the letter that I sent to you folks a list of about 30 consultants that have been hired by Shakespeare, and with the exception of Mr. Watson here, whose services are required by anybody working locally and does a very nice job, the other 29, Chicago, London, New York City, everywhere but Phillipstown. Not a single one in Phillipstown. This isn't doing a damn thing for our community. It's not doing a damn thing for our local economy, and this is a self-contained, perceived as a self-contained operation. It's going to do nothing for us but cost us money. And I believe if they really want to contribute to the community, they will make an effort and actually make a contribution to the community. The second thing is, and I don't know the first gentleman who spoke, he said words matter. And words do matter. And I believe that this law is extraordinarily broad. And we've got a situation where not only are we talking about a 20-year permit, but we're talking about a special events permit. And as Tim mentioned, they're going to have to maximize revenue because this is an extraordinarily large undertaking, and they are not going to be able to support themselves with summer plays and just Shakespeare. And so the question becomes, how many concerts are there going to be? Will concerts be prohibited, permitted under a special permit? Because there is no way that whatever number of Shakespeare plays, and of course this summer is not even going to be about Shakespeare, but here we are 3 years in, words matter. And I think that we've been sold kind of a bill of goods in this thing. The Move Up the Hill is now a regional entertainment complex that needs special permits, needs all sorts of stuff, and it's going to be unfortunate to have to regret what's going on here.
Thank you, Joe. Robert.
What's your last name? Robert Cutler. Cutler.
Thank you. I'm not sure if what I'm going to say is relevant, but my friends have never had any trouble telling me but that I am talking irrelevantly. So I trust you will be able to do that too. My point that I've often wondered about is we want Shakespeare to succeed. We want it to make money. I've worked with visited sites all my life. I'm worried about them making money. I can't understand why they shouldn't be open 12 months a year. If you were to open up a shop in Cold Spring, certainly you would tell your backers, we're going to be open 12 months. If you said, we're only going to be open 8 months or 4 months, they'd say, forget it. Shakespeare started off in Mary's Meadow way back when, under the stars, then they got a tent, and now here they are 40 years later. But it's okay to figure out a new way and better way of staying open all year long, which would be an enclosed theater. Not hard to do. It would be possible to employ the wonderful actors all year long. Many of them would love that. Many of them would be able to produce plays themselves, direct plays. And we would be entertained ourselves. Why? And also it would solve the noise problem because it would be enclosed. So I don't know why this is a bad idea, and I would throw that out. Maybe it's not within your purview, maybe it's the planning boards, but anyway, there it is. I would love to have that, and I'd love to have plays all year long, some of them directed by Mr. McCallum. That would be a delight. Okay.
And the last speaker we have on the list is Tim Nolan.
Hi, Tim Nolan, Garrison. I just had 2 points. One is about the artist guest lodging. It still seems to be too permissive and too broad. The planning board's work has been to take an overly large project and sort of garrison size it. And one of the things that went away over that time, over those 2.5 or 3 years, was a hotel. It's mentioned by Neil in the communique he sent to you. They closed the door. This opens the window. You need to tighten this, I think. This reads like the opportunity to run this place as an in-and-out hotel or something very close to a hotel over the course of the entire year. That's not the intent of the planning board. My second point and last is that you hear concerns about financial viability of the operation going forward. They've had a couple of very, very difficult years. Before that, they had a couple of difficult years because of the pandemic that affected us all. This year, they're not showing any Shakespeare plays. Artistic freedom is yours to do what you wish to do with. My concern is that having gone through what they've gone through over the last 4 years, which is to be afloat in the universe, and then to have a year like this, again afloat in the universe, with the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival presenting no Shakespeare, might have an impact on what George Steinbrenner called putting fannies in the seats. Okay, and this I found on the Hudson Valley Shakespeare website when they announced the plays for this year. This was last week. How can it be Shakespeare Festival without at least one Shakespeare play? First reason that I am refusing to attend since 1990. Shakespeare, please. I feel you, but this is the same artistic direction that brought you 65-year-old Romeo and Juliet. I, like many others, would appreciate a response about the lack of Shakespeare at the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival. Where's the Shakespeare? Come on now. I'm confused. We've been going to the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival for decades, yet now we are not enjoying the works of the master. Guess we have to get our Shakespeare fix elsewhere. Not sure how hashtags work, pound disappointing. Just love Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival for years. Last comment, too bad we won't see one in 2024. Put on whatever you want, but if you don't have people, you don't have a viable business model. And this is a big, big, big project that entails tens of millions of dollars and wraps the Garrison community in very, very hard. I think you need to think about these things and how you're going to protect the community from what could be and I hope it's not, by the way. I haven't heard anybody, by the way, say, I don't want Shakespeare here. We do. But we want to know that it's going to be successful. And this suggests maybe that's a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. You're not on the list, but I'll give you 2 minutes. How's that? It's a bargain.
I can't agree with that, but I'll do the best I can. First of all, understanding that, the board has a very significant responsibility. And I think that everybody who has been involved in the process appreciates the effort that went in both at the planning board and the town board. You've heard from a variety of residents the concerns regarding the proposal and the concerns that it may impact the way they have been living for decades. This is a game changer for the community and probably for the region if it proceeds without the appropriate limits. And really that's what I think everyone here is asking, is that language matters. What it says, how it says it, the words matter, and that was highlighted by the county board. So what I ask is give it the review, everyone on the board review, and if there's questions about what it means and what it says, it means it's not clear enough. And so the question is, how do you write that in a way that doesn't have questions down the road? That is hard to do. It takes time to do. It takes time to elicit the questions, and last minute, as of yesterday or today, the county board raised one concern about how that language interacts. So what I would ask is take the time. Don't just say yes until everyone is satisfied that the language is such that contains it in the way you want it. Not just with a statement that says it's not what's intended, but to go in and really look at this and make those changes. I would just reiterate a couple of important points of this. The impact on the school is very significant. The removal of, not revenue, but the increase in taxes has the potential to create a difficulty in passing budgets. We've already experienced the circumstance where arts have been removed from the Garrison School. And it's the irony of that this is a artistic organization when you have that concern and that real impact anticipated. And I look at these guys, ask them to remedy that. That is an important thing we've heard. Schools, very important. In fact, the most important thing in my view is education. And to have something, anything that will impact the ability of the Garrison School to give the education that I know my kids had in the arts and otherwise, that's something, please, fix. Special use, I've talked about it. I really don't think a special use should be in at all. If it is, language. Please don't have this come up later where there's a question of what it means, what it meant. Now is the time. This is the time to really just draft it. Definition of guests, same kind of thing. And I'll wrap up. I don't want to pass on. Definition of guests. I don't know what guests is defined as. What I would ask is just heard some modifications. I don't know if you're planning on carrying this to allow the opportunity for the community to review the new language. Is that what's anticipated?
Well, we're going to discuss that.
Okay. I would ask you to do that and really look hard. I don't think you're seeing the anger to say, don't do a Shakespeare. I think what you're seeing generally is do it right. This is our opportunity to get it right. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anything from the board?
Well, I'd just like to address Dan's comment about the 12-month operation. I think originally they had the indoor theater, which would have made it a 12-month operation. And personally, I thought removing that there, in my eyes, was a mistake, because I thought the indoor theater could be used by Garrison School, Haldane School, and so forth like that. You know, because Haldane's looking to build an addition here with a theater in it. And I thought that would have been a nice thing for the whole community to use, but just want to address that, the 12 months.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else?
Is this our time for comments?
Yeah, you go ahead. That's what I asked for.
I just wanted to say a few things, because we've all been talking about this issue for a number of meetings now. One, I just think a couple of people just kind of responding to some things that have come up, and I think this is one of those issues, obviously, where there's no perfect here. There are people with concerns. There's lots of people who support it deeply, right? And a couple of comments I had is the discussion about taxes. I mean, tax-exempt properties in our community, it's about 15% of all acreage. So there's lots of tax-exempt property in our community, whether that's nonprofit, churches, conserved land. So that question about that question to me is a question about what does the property give back? Is there public benefit being traded back for that exemption? This discussion about pilots, and I think when I look at it, at least, there is public benefit from this proposal. There's a conversion from the golf course to something that is going to be rewilded that has environmental benefits. There's obviously a cultural benefit. There's the benefit that it's not going to be, some other type of development, and this is just a private property given from a private property owner, right? And I think one of the biggest benefits, because I think there's a lot of tax-exempt land that may not provide that much public benefit, right, in this question about pilots, which really is not usually applied to tax-exempt organizations. It's applied to things like sports stadiums. But I think that when you look at it, one of the biggest public benefits is, in the planning board EIS statements, Hudson Valley Shakespeare said, "We intend to continue the current policy of allowing passive use access for neighbors, snowshoeing in the winter, walking dogs, gazing at stars, just as the public has been allowed to do for decades, because this is a spectacular property." That is a real public benefit. And putting into the zoning language that those lawns and gardens are open to public community use, again, is a benefit. And so I guess the only other thing I wanted to raise is, my kids are at Garrison School. And so I care about that issue as well. I'm glad that clarification was made by Steve that this will not lower taxes. It will just make the pie different. There are tax consequences, just like there is when other property goes off the exempt list, right, that need to be considered. But at the same time, Garrison School District is 87th out of 88 surrounding school districts amongst the lowest taxed. All right, so I don't think that, while there is a taxpayer question here, the idea that this project is harming the children of Goffs, I don't think should be part of the conversation, personally. I think that's really it, and I guess the only thing I would say is, I think we've all been kind of looking at this and reading the language carefully, and I think that there's been, throughout this multi-year process, a lot of give and take to community concern. I know some people are now saying, the project has been scaled back. There was a hotel on the table at some point. I've personally been worried about that artist guest housing, but a conversation with Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival said the reason there's that number of units is because that's the number of hotel rooms they used to have to rent for actors. And that's what's driving that number. And that actors are going to be using that housing for, I don't know if it's 9 months of the season. So that is driving that issue. And I think that, Supervisor Van Tassel, really this idea of moving it from a parade permit to a special use permit, all of this has responded to community concerns about how to control the future, right? And the fact that a special use permit would require a public hearing, would require a new environmental impact statement, all of those things are important. And I think that has given the community more of a chance to control that moving forward as much as possible. So I just wanted to make those comments.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying. At the end of the day, the property is still tax exempt, am I correct?
So I can clarify the tax situation. So the banquet facility and the property, I think it's 2.5 acres associated with the banquet facility, will stay on the tax rolls.
Okay.
The parcel that's going to be HVSF will be off of the tax rolls. So there was a net loss to the community of $160,000. $95,000 of it was the Garrison School. However, there will be a home developed on the private piece of land that is going to be subdivided off of this, which obviously will provide to the tax base as well. So
Okay, so the taxpayers in Garrison will still have to absorb the rest then?
that's correct.
Okay, I just want to make that clear. Through all of this, lots of reading, lots of letters, I am, as Jason mentioned, like, I am for the Hudson Valley Shakespeare. I think it's a wonderful part of the community. What I'm trying to navigate through is that this non-for-profit is asking us to change the parameters of our current law to fit their non-for-profit. What I'm trying to see is, why are we, as a town, going to change our laws that are in place to protect our surrounding neighbors, when in fact, this large, as somebody said, I think they mentioned it was a large development, gentleman in the back, you should be changing your development to fit the current parameters that protect our neighboring residents. These are taxpayers of Garrison, and as Supervisor Van Tassel just mentioned, there will be a house on the property, but at the end of the day, people have to absorb the rest of those taxes. And I think that's a really big concern that we have to consider, regardless of the number of snowshoeing and environmental protection that we might have. At the end of the day, we really have to consider the constituents within the community, so.
Judy?
Sure. Thank you. And I want to thank the community for turning out at all of the public meetings that we've had. I think we've had quite a few, and we've carefully reviewed this. I know I have reviewed closely every change, and we've actually responded to community concerns and made a number of changes. I am one of my favorite mottos, and I'm going to say it tonight, it may sound like a cliche, is to not make the good the enemy, not make perfect the enemy of the good. And I'm not sure if I got that right, but what I'm trying to say is we all want everything to be perfect in our community, and it's not possible. We're not always going to agree on every proposal that comes before us, but we do want to be responsive to the community. And I have to look at not only the people in this room, I think we have to look at all of the letters we've received and the comments that people on the street give to us. And we've been listening for years to everyone. And I think that there are considerations, environmental considerations, that make this proposal good for the community. There are also recreational benefits that are good for the community, and there are educational benefits for this as well. So I may not agree with everyone on your thoughts and comments, but many of them we've taken into consideration, and we've responded with changes. And I think we have given it a lot of time and thought. I know we've heard, people say that you should give it more time and thought, but I think we have been talking about it for a long time. So I just want to thank you for your patience with this process. It is not easy for us to all agree all the time on every single word.
Thank you. You guys all set? I also wanted to thank the public hearing we're speaking of. So I wanted to thank the community too. It's our job to listen, and we have listened. We have a stack of letters. We must have had 20 to 30 today. 60? I sat mostly in favor. We do have opposition. I appreciate the people that have come out and sat in the room and spoke. It's not easy to do. We have letters from as low as a 16-year-old girl who wrote us a letter that she walks to Shakespeare and has an opportunity to work there and be a part of a production. It's a wonderful summer job for her. Up to people that have lived in that area since 1947 that are in support of it. So it's every end of the spectrum. I appreciate the planning board's opinion, and Chairman Zuckerman did write us a letter. We have that. We've all read that. We did get a letter of support from the Cold Spring Chamber of Commerce as well that's supporting it. I appreciate the work that our council did, Mr. Gaba, and I really am thankful that Barbara Barossa at Putnam County Planning identified what could have been an issue for us. But so I appreciate, and I appreciate the review that the town board has put into this and the work that the clerk's office has done to keep things in order. So I'm going to move to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, we're going to go into our regular monthly meeting now. Where's everybody going?
Matt, you were late.
This-
You were late. Are you gonna, Tara said, where is it? I know.
What's that? Yeah, we will.
I don't want to rush people out, but if you could just say something outside.
We are going to address this evening if you're interested, so we will be addressing this tonight. Yes, so if you want to stay,
John, you probably should have mentioned that before.
it's all right.
Should I go tell them in the hall?
Sure.
No.
Okay, I don't think we need to stand for the pledge again, but approval of minutes, public hearing, January 10th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Public hearing and workshop, January 10th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Committee reports, Conservation Board.
The Conservation Board did not meet in February because it was canceled due to the storm. The next Conservation Board meeting is Tuesday, March 12th. Yep. Next week, next Tuesday.
Recreation.
Good evening. The Recreation Department has reported that the winter programming is now winding down, and spring classes will be launched later this month and into April. Upcoming events include a senior trip to New York City to see Moulin Rouge on Broadway this month, and in April, there's going to be lunch at Pax Romana and a show at the White Plains Broadway Theater. Upcoming events for children include the spring youth production of Finding Nemo in April, and children's programming for 2024 and 2025. The registration is ongoing now. We also have Before Care and Afternoon Adventure in the Preschool Learning Center programs at the rec. That registration is underway as well. And summer camp registration for residents kicks off next Monday, March 11th at 8:30 a.m. We strongly recommend registering online and have posted and emailed helpful tips to ensure a smooth sign-up process for families. So please go online if you're interested in the summer camp. Do not show up in person to the Recreation Department for that. As Phillipstown parks are remaining closed for the season, but they will open after April 13th. During the month of March, the soccer fields will be treated ahead of the spring season. The Highway Department is also digging a water line that will begin when they're able to coordinate that with the electrician. And the personnel update, our buildings manager, Tim Morante, has taken another position with the Haldane School District. It's very exciting, and the rec center will miss him. Thank you, Tim, for your service to the Recreation Department. The Rec Commission has approved a new, a part-time employee moving into the position, Frank Cacetta, who currently works for the rec center. He will now work with Walter Guzman, and we thank both of them for their work. I think that's it for the Recreation Department this month. They will meet again the last Tuesday of March if you would like to attend.
Thank you, Judy. Phillipstown Hub.
The Phillipstown Hub report from Chris Owen. They had a very successful fundraiser, and we want to thank Dar Williams for raising over $5,000 for the Phillipstown Hub by giving a concert at the Chapel Restoration, which was an incredible standing room only night. They also did a Narcan training at that event following the concert, and a lot of community residents got trained in how to administer Narcan. The Hub also had in February 355 contacts with individuals, an increase over last year of 140% at this time last year. Examples of cases include residents dealing with isolation and depression during this time of the year. They reached out to the Hub. And another example are residents who are seeking assistance with out-of-pocket cost and insurance for mental health and substance abuse treatments. The next meeting of the Hub Board will take place on March 13th, and after the concert, the Hub received a budget allocation from Phillipstown, and they just wanted to express their gratitude to the town of Phillipstown for that grant. Thank you, Chris, and the Hub Board.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Planning Board.
Planning Board met on February 15th. I was there as well. Old business, RKB Materials LLC, 39 Horsemen's Trails Road. They've been before the planning board for the last several months. They got approval to go move forward. They're going to construct a 70 by 50 garage, which is for overnight parking of their triaxle trucks. And also they have a permit to do some light crushing of stone and so forth up there. So wish them luck, and they got all their approvals for the planning board to move forward. Garrison Golf Club, Shakespeare Festival, I guess it's called GGCPDD these days. Anyway, the planning board only really commented on our zoning change, and we got the letter from them. And their biggest concern there really was the artist housing. So that's what they came back with. But everything else is in their favor of. Not that they're not that they're against the housing, but that was just a concern that they had. And I think that's a big concern of most people. Anyway, that's the biggest concern we've heard over for the last several months. But it is what it is. I'm sure we'll figure everything out, and we'll move forward with that. Next on the agenda was Carranza Plaza LLC, 3626 Route 9. This was the establishment on Route 9 a few months ago that was going to have a large oil facility up there. We put a moratorium on that, and at that point they did not move forward. So they are going to move forward with the buildings they had planned, but they were going to eliminate the oil storage tanks that they originally had. So there's no surprise to anybody there. They're still going to have an oil company ran out of there, for their offices are going to be there, but there will be no storage of oil, but they will have oil trucks stored there at night and so forth like that.
Well, their application includes that.
Yeah, their application includes that. So, what the planning board is, they want to do another site visit. We were up there once before, but now since things changed, the oil tanks are going to be removed, and they moved things around a little bit. They want to have another site visit. So if anyone wants to come to the site visit, it would be this Sunday, March 10th at 9:30, up at 3626 Route 9. Under new business, McCall Carvel, 429 Sprout Brook Road. This is the first time they've been before the planning board. They're looking to build it's considered a minor site construction, a detached garage, and a minor driveway alignment. The board made it classified it as a minor project and classified as a type 2 seeker action. They need some more additional information before they move forward, and they did not schedule a site visit as yet. They probably will do that at the next meeting. Meeting was adjourned at 9:05. Next meeting will be March 21st.
Thank you, Bob. Zoning.
The zoning board has not had a meeting in 2024.
Your pay is getting cut.
I know. Well, I mean, no, please don't. No. However, they are hoping to have something in April. It would be April 8th if anybody needs anything changed. Come out April 8th, and that's it. That's all we have.
It's amazing that we have no ZBA application.
I know, like, so
It's incredible.
December, obviously it was a holiday, and then January, nothing, February, March, nothing, now we're into.
And I can remember sitting here in 2010 when we were changing the town zoning.
Bite your tongue.
Saying how, and people were saying that our zoning board is going to be overwhelmed.
No, Bob D does a
Because
heck
of
of
all
a
these
job.
changes. So, Bob D runs a tight
He
ship.
runs a tight ship.
I think people are
They all do,
afraid.
they're great. The zoning board's wonderful,
Yeah,
but,
the planning board hasn't referred anything either, so, recently.
well, if you
Thank you.
need, and come out April 8th.
Well,
Highway.
Highway, okay. Submitted by Adam Hoteling, Highway Superintendent. Beginning of the month started out relatively mild, with crews out working on the drainage issues, digging out waterways, pipes, replacement, and fixing washouts. Of course, always filling potholes. Mid-month, more normal weather hit, and then the storm of Lorena and about a foot of snow followed, and a few more inches several days later. No major problems, just winter snows. The goat trail remains in one lane in each direction with an alternative traffic signal at ROA Hook Road. The facility is replacing a culvert. This project requires the replacement of an existing culvert with a bridge structure. Nighttime closures are not expected in the near future, but we will keep the public appraised of any of their needs. The project will be anticipated to be substantially completed by the summer of 2024, weather permitting. A new highway mechanic position has been filled. We hope to round off our crew with a new driver in the near future. We had two positions open. One was a mechanic and a driver. We had a couple of people retire over the last several months at the highway department. So it sounds like they have another driver in the near future that they're looking at and interviewing so far. The month of February, highway department had very low amounts of phone calls, roughly spent $14,000 on vehicle maintenance for the month of February. End of report submitted by Adam Hotelli, Highway Superintendent.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment about the GO Trail, which is Route 202 from the Bear Mountain Bridge around to Ansville Circle. It is one lane. New York State DOT has been contacting us constantly with updates on construction and timeframes. That's why you'll notice South Mountain Pass has closed signs on both ends. It's to prevent people from using that as an alternative. Does it work? No. We do our best, and they will enforce it. If the sheriff finds you driving through there and you're not supposed to, you will be ticketed, because people have had it, trust me. So that's why that's going on. So we wanted to avoid additional traffic on South Mountain Pass. Thank you. Building and Land, I have nothing. Cemetery Committee?
I actually spoke with Taggart, who oversees the cemeteries with me and the maintenance of it, and we are going to be meeting in mid-April, probably actually early May, to go over the cemetery at 301, and there's another gentleman that will be joining us, and he's been talking about kind of unveiling the cemetery up there, so hopefully we'll get there in May and see what we have and see what the budget is for that, so.
Okay,
But that's
great.
it.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to get on to the agenda, and we do not have tonight's resolution adopting the local law on the agenda tonight because we did have some last-minute updates. So I would like to take, which would be any other item that would come before the town board, item 11, and move it up to the first item. So if anybody is here for that we could just go ahead and vote on that. So, Tara, would you like to read the local law?
The law? No.
I'm sorry. The resolution, sorry.
Say the law's 14 pages long. If you want me to, I
No,
will.
that's okay, just a resolution. Thank you.
So this is a
Sorry about that.
resolution adopting a proposed local law to repeal Town Code, Chapter 175-61.2, entitled Garrison Golf Club Planned Development District, and reenact it as a new code, Chapter 175-61.2, entitled Garrison Cultural Conservation Planned Development District. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Phillipstown has before it a proposed local law entitled A Local Law to Repeal Town Code Section 175-61.2, entitled Garrison Golf Club Planned Development District, and reenacted as a new code, Section 175-61.2, entitled Garrison Cultural Conservation Planned Development District, and whereas following due notice, the town board held a public hearing on the proposed local law, and whereas the town board has made the required referrals to the county planning department and the town planning board, Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, that the town board does hereby adopt the above local law with the minor change in the definition of special event, a copy of which is attached hereto. And 2, that said local law shall be effective upon filing in the office of the Secretary of State in Albany.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote. Councilwoman Cotter.
No.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Angel.
We'll vote aye.
Councilwoman Farrell.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you. Okay, we'll go right on to the rest of the agenda. Thank you.
Bye, Davis, thank you.
Next on the agenda is a resolution approving the Garrison Volunteer Ambulance Corps 2023 company posting certification and sponsor approval form for the Length of Service Award Program.
Can I get a motion approving the Garrison Volunteer LoSAP program?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Van Tassel to sign the intermunicipal agreement regarding shared equipment with the Town of Cortland, Village of Croton-on-Hudson, Village of Buchanan, and City of Poughkeepsie for 2024.
City of Peekskill, right?
Sorry,
It's
Peekskill.
okay.
That's what it says, but I said, sorry.
So this enables us to transfer equipment with other agencies or other towns in the event that there is a need. Usually this happens during a natural disaster, so it just makes it all legal. Can I get a motion to adopt this?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
It's
And
a
I
good
vote
thing to have. I mean, there's certain pieces of equipment that we don't have,
Right.
county doesn't have, and we can actually, we need something, we can go borrow it, so it's a good thing to have.
Next is a resolution authorizing the Highway Department to purchase out of the new equipment line of an industrial skid mount by Skag Power Equipment from Brady's Power Equipment on Sourcewell for $6,010.
Okay, this is coming out of the 2024 budget. It's a budgeted item. So can I get a motion to purchase this piece of equipment?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Van Tassel to sign the Putnam County Real Property Tax Service Contract for 2024.
This is so the county can collect our taxes for us. So I get a motion authorizing the Putnam County Real Property Tax Contract for 2024.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next on the, sorry?
Are we skipping this? He's not here, right?
So, yeah, next on the agenda was to be Neil Toman to report on the Continental Village Lake Park Dam on behalf of Putnam County Soil and Water, but I spoke with him today, and he was not going to make it tonight, and he would like to request to schedule a workshop for March 20th to do this.
It's on
Sure.
Wednesday.
Well, we'll do that in scheduling, Britt.
We couldn't piggyback on the 13th?
I think we got it.
He's not going to be
Oh,
in
okay.
town.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I can briefly give you an idea of what's going on, but I'll leave it up to Neil to give the fine tuning. So the DEC has identified a risk at this dam in Continental Village. I didn't know this dam even existed, but the county owns it. The county is not interested in investing money in repairing it, so they're just going to, from what I understand, just drain it to eliminate the risk. But Neil will come in and fill us in a little more as to what's going on exactly, so.
does
So,
that
March 20th?
work?
Yeah, everybody work, March 20th work for everybody?
Yes.
7:30.
Okay.
Next is a resolution of agreement with the Town of Cortland awarding bids to Abbott and Price for repair and maintenance in the amount of $159,808, and to French and Perillo for engineering and contracting services in the amount of $21,715 in regard to the Cortland Lake Dam and the needed repairs, with the understanding of the existing agreement between the two towns, that the town of Phillipstown is responsible for 69% of the total cost.
But it's actually three towns. It's Cortland, the town of Phillipstown, and Putnam Valley. Unfortunately, Phillipstown has the largest share of it. So Steve, are you comfortable? You had a copy of the contract?
I got it. It dates back to 1970, and I think your share is actually 69.7.
We're not going to tell
But we're
anybody
not
that.
gonna keep that the quiet.
So I did attend a meeting about this with Supervisor Becker and Supervisor of Putnam Valley. It's basically minor repair. It's some tree removal. There's some checking in the concrete on the dam. Fortunately, it's costly, so we are making the last payment on the major dam repair, which I think our share was around $700,000. We're making our last payment in 2024. So this will come out of the Continental Village Park District Fund, and that payment hopefully will be part of what institutionalized in their fee already because of the payment that's coming off. So we won't have to make a payment on this until 2025. That we were clear that we didn't want the work going on during the summers because they have to lower the water level of Cortland Lake, and they do utilize that for swimming. So they're going to start some work before Memorial Day, do some tree clearing, but the work on the dam, which requires the water to be lowered, won't be done until after Labor Day, after the beach is closed. So could I get a motion? Steve, are you okay with us with the contract? We are, correct?
You're obligated to pay this.
Okay, thank you.
John, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
That Abbott and Price and French and Perello proposals, they're the contractors?
For engineering.
For the engineering.
For engineering.
And Cortland, the town of Cortland has handled a lot of it in-house engineering as well. They have two engineers on staff, and they will oversee the construction as well. So my appreciation to the town of Cortland for that. They're a good partner of ours, actually. They work very well with us, very cooperative. So can I get a motion to approve the agreement with the town of Cortland for the repairs and maintenance for the Cortland Lake Dam?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Excuse me, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next on the agenda is Councilman Angel to offer an update on the development of a draft Town of Phillipstown local solar policy to achieve a goal of Phillipstown's 2030 comprehensive plan and set a clear local solar policy.
Okay, I'll just give just a quick update on the local solar policy, which I think we've all discussed a little bit before. But that effort's just coming out of the 2030 comprehensive plan, which identified developing a local solar policy for Phillipstown as a major goal. While we reference solar in the existing code, there's no kind of unified policy around it. So the purpose of creating this local solar policy would just be to maintain a clear rules for solar development in Phillipstown. Encourage solar while protecting environmental resources and the rights of property owners, and just make the process clear. A few months ago, the Climate Smart Task Force formed a solar policy committee to begin kind of looking at this, and the committee members included Martha Upton, the coordinator, Nat Prentice, Ben Davis, Peter Davis, Paul Thompson, and Jillian Mintzer, and myself. And really, the committee just went about it first by talking to Greg Warner, the building inspector.
He said he had a wonderful conversation with
We had so Greg, and not to be surprised, he just made it stronger, offered a lot of, points on it. And so we built around what the building department is really doing. But clarified a few things. So we basically have a draft solar policy law. It's based on that conversations with Greg, a town of Avon model, and New York State has a model solar energy local law. So we based it on that and talked to John, Supervisor Van Tassel, about the process going forward. And John agreed that a good process is to put this draft local law in front of Greg, which we've done, had that good long conversation, Conservation Board, Planning Board, and so we're in the process of doing that, and we'll get comments back from them, and then bring it to the town board for review and discussion.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, sorry,
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Did you guys come up with a place to put this solar field? Because I remember last time you guys were kind of going back and forth.
The solar policy, this is not that.
Okay, that's not that.
Yeah, this will just be.
Don't put the horse before the cart?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Next is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Van Tassel to sign the letter of commitment in regard to the Mid-Hudson Municipal Landfill Emissions Mitigation Application to the EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program.
So you guys had an opportunity to read through this. They're basically looking to make them as environmentally friendly as possible. We do have a landfill. It is capped. It's monitored. So we're signing in on this. Anybody have a comment, addition? No? Okay. Can I get a motion to allow me to sign the letter of commitment with regards to Mid-Hudson Municipal Landfill Emissions Mitigation Application to the EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye.
Next is to schedule any workshops or meetings. We have a workshop next Wednesday with the Climate Smart Coordinator, Martha Upton, to present to the board about the new NYSERDA grant opportunities and where the town stands in terms of potential funding. And then the same evening, I know I have listed as date to be determined, but the same evening, the 13th, the Hudson Highland Fjord Trail Data Committee will also be giving an update. And then we have the meeting that we scheduled on March 20th with Neil. And then we have our regular meeting April 4th.
Yes. So I did meet with our data committee. They did have some concerns about some information they had not received from Fjord Trail, so I did contact Fjord Trail jointly with Mayor Foley and Mayor Windward, and I believe they've received the information they had requested. So, but I'll contact them again, and they're going to come in and give a brief presentation on March 13th as to where they stand and, you know, what has gone on so far. I would just like to update a meeting I had with Fjord. We met with representatives from Fjord, Putnam County, Nancy Montgomery was here, Richard Shea from Fjord, Amy from Fjord, Scenic Hudson was there, both mayors and myself. We walked some potential routes that would connect, or potentially connect, the railroad station directly with Fjord Trail without going on any street, so it would follow the rail bed. There is some requirements that would have to be stretched a little bit in order for it to happen because of some rock formations and lack of property. But I'm envisioning this connector on the west side of the tracks, so the river side of the tracks. And if you're familiar with the Cold Spring Station, if you come off the west platform and walk north, you go off the platform and down onto just a blacktop trail with a fence on the side of it. Then it goes as far as the underpass, and then you can go out to Main Street. I'm envisioning that continuing along the tracks straight up to connect to wherever Fjord begins. So we did meet. We are scheduling some other meetings. There was some talk about going on the east side versus the west side. So it's all up in the air, but I just wanted to let people know that that is a potential. There is a meeting Monday, March 11th for a Fjord update. There is a seat reserved for the town of Phillipstown. I am not attending. If anybody else would like to attend and sit in that seat, it's a packed house. There's 200 people coming.
Where is it?
It's at Dutchess.
Dutchess.
I can finalize the times and stuff. I'll send out an email to you guys. I think one of us should be there to
Depending on the
represent.
time.
Yeah, I'll get you the
I'm
time.
away next week, so.
Yeah. So, just wanted to get that in there quickly, so.
Next on the agenda is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report, and this is for February. Total fees collected was $14,329. There were 20 total permits issued, 2 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings, 18 all other permits, including pools, decks, sheds, plumbing, etc. There were 27 certificates of occupancy issued. There were 3 stop work orders issued, 2 inspections of public assembly, 2 inspections of commercial occupancies, and the code enforcement officer would like to remind everyone to please take the time to display your house number so as to assist first responders.
Great point. If you're driving a fire truck at 2 in the morning and it's pouring rain and dark, you don't want to be searching for somebody's little number on their house. So the easier it is to find you, the better it is. I have to comment about Greg. I received an email complaint about a month ago about Greg, that he was not charging somebody the right amount of money, he was not being fair. So I always take the complaint. It's rare that I get one. It's probably the first one this year, probably the first one in 2 years. And I investigate. So I went and I spoke to Greg. Can you give me your version of what's going on? So Greg is a really smart guy. He's very quiet about it, but turns around that it was a solar application. They wanted a permit, insisted on a permit, and it's 2.5% of the cost of the project. Greg knew that the cost that they submitted was not accurate for the application. So he wanted more supporting evidence. It was a whole email chain. Greg supported the whole process. Then he went to the site, and the facility was already built. So they had built it without a permit, which our code enables us to charge double when you do it something without a permit and then request a permit. So all I'm saying is, if you want to apply for something, just be accurate, be honest, and Greg will work with you. The law is clear. So it ended up, the permit was doubled, and the cost of the facility was double what they had submitted. So, and this representative, I'm not going to mention any names, but the representative of the solar company, his supervisor came in with the accurate amount, which was double what the other guy had presented. So Greg was right. And I'm not going to say Greg's always going to be right. And if you have a complaint, that's what I'm here for. But most of the time, he's accurate and he is fair. So I really appreciate the job that Greg Warner does for the town of Phillipstown. So he's got a good base of knowledge. He works with people, so we're very fortunate to have him. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. So do you want me to do any business that becomes before the town board again?
Yeah, I would just like to wish the Haldane Blue Devil basketball team good luck Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. They'll be playing they won sectionals, regionals, and now they're going
They're
for
playing for the regional title.
regional title.
If they
But
win this, they go up to the states on
then
March
it's the
15th.
state Final
Yep.
Four, so.
So this is for the region. They're playing.
This senior class, and I'm not saying it because my son is part of it.
He's doing fantastic. They
But
all
this
are.
senior class they didn't, it was 2 years ago, they won the boys soccer championship.
Mm-hmm.
Not that might, any of that, but they went to the state football championship. They were in the Final Four for state football. And this is the third year in a row if they make it, it'll be to the state basketball
Yep.
championship.
It's the third year in a row that they're competing for the regional title. So
Right.
that's
Last year we
incredible.
went to the States.
Last year we went to the States.
Yes, so it's a wonderful group, and they're a nice bunch of kids too. Besides, so my congratulations to the Haldane Blue Devils. And I also I just got an email this evening. Putnam County is forming an executive review committee for Putnam County, and I'm happy that Chris Winward, Mayor of Nelsonville, has been named to this committee. So we're very fortunate to have Chris as the mayor of Nelsonville. She is a very bright woman and works really well with myself, as well as with Mayor Foley, who's also an asset to the village of Cold Spring. So we're very fortunate to have these two very active, brilliant women working for these two villages. So congratulations, Chris, on your appointment to that committee, and I look forward to seeing you operate with that group. So thank you.
That's great.
Anybody, anything else?
Yeah, just
I
like,
just wanted to mention the food scrap recycling initiative is making progress with the schools. We've met with both Haldane and Garrison, and we have some very motivated students, and their families are going to be engaged, and we have a couple of events coming up to raise awareness of food scrap recycling and enroll even more families locally, as well as demonstrate for educational purposes the value of our program to the schools. So we're looking forward to those
Great.
events.
Thank you, Judy.
yes, I'd like to just bring up the fact that we had our bids opening last week regarding the Garrison Water District, regarding boring underneath the Route 9D, and also trenching from our water facilities to the new well, which is about 1,400 feet.
And the other exciting news, we don't know how it happened, but the leak has stopped.
Yes.
Because
Miraculously.
we have gone from, we've been there almost daily with the SEMCO, with leak detection. They have not found a leak anywhere, but we've gone from 5 trucks a day to 2 trucks a day, and it's sustained for almost 2 weeks. The only thought that they had, my thought is somebody found something in their property and shut it off, which I'm thankful for. And I don't care, if you found something, thank you for shutting it off. There is an opinion by the water company that when we shut the water off, which we had to do to repair a valve and turned it back on, the shock reset either a leaky toilet or several leaky toilets, and it stopped. So whatever it is, we're using an appropriate amount of water because the estimate is 10 to 12,000, and that's exactly what we're using right now. So it's great news.
Well, also, just like, as we were doing this work, as Mr. Supervisor indicated, anytime we can put a new valve in to isolate different areas, we put new valves in as well. So it's a possibility that one of those valves that we put in would have been leaking. I don't know. I doubt it because I think it would have been some evidence because we were there every time we changed something. Either Super Van Tassel or I was there, so overseeing everything. But anyway, so the bids are out. We came in, and this company called T&A were the lowest bidders, and right now Ron is just making sure everything's in place before we go ahead and give them the approval. So hopefully, before the end of this month, we could have a meeting and approve these bids and get things working, get them in direction. Anyway, so the bids with the boring was $36,000, and the trenching was $171,000. They were both low bids, and it's both from the same company. The other bidders were quite substantially more. One other bidder was fairly close with the trenching, but the boring was like 3, 4, 5 times the amount of this guy. So, anyway, I just want everyone to be aware of that. It was something in the Putnam County News front page today. I did. Doug Cunningham called me up last week. I gave him the information. I thought we were going to have it in place tonight to vote on. Unfortunately, I made a mistake. I thought we could be, but anyway, we'll be passing those when the time comes. Hopefully, next week's. And again, I wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day, and wish the Blue Devils good luck, and also like to congratulate Megan Cotter here for her team won the CYO championship.
You're
It's
still
6
playing
year.
CYO, man?
No, thank you, Bob. That was very nice and unexpected of you.
Our Lady of Loretto, sixth grade,
Sixth
right
grade
grade team,
Division B, yep.
won the championship.
championship.
So,
Congrats.
We got a nice fat trophy for Loretto for the first time.
Is it gonna be on the altar?
I am. I'm going to bring it up actually once all the girls get
I'm
to
excited.
be with it. Yeah.
He's gonna have to bless it.
One of your children in addition, win a free throwing?
Oh yes, and my son Diarmid is in the 4th round of the free throw contest for Our Lady of Loretto. He will be at St. Augustine on October 16th. Lots of juggling.
October?
I'm sorry, March. That's where my head is.
Oh, congrats.
Hopefully make it to the States. This is gonna be right over,
Yeah,
the
right
finals
over
will be at
West
West Point.
There's a lot of activity in the Cotter household.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was gonna make one last comment. It's a little bit more, sorry to end the meeting on a heavier comment note. I know, a heavier meeting note, but it's just something that's been, I'm sure everybody in the community has been thinking about in different ways. I have, but recently neighboring local communities in Newburgh and Beacon have passed local resolutions calling for a ceasefire in the Palestinian conflict. These resolutions are balanced. You know, they are acknowledging the horror of the October 7th terrorism committed by Hamas against innocent Israelis, but really just calling for, with 30,000 civilian deaths, and the United Nations saying that famine is really is ever present and happening, just calling for a ceasefire to get humanitarian aid in. I know all of us, we're just sitting on a local board, so and I know taking up resolutions like this, but the resolutions are really going to federal officials to encourage them, if they're not already, to call for a ceasefire. And I don't know if members of the board would be open or would want to consider that sort of a resolution, but it's just, like, all the news is just weighing.
I certainly would support. There's such a waste of human life. It's the loss of life has been. If you watch the footage, it's hard. It's hard to even watch. So I would certainly support if you want to present a resolution for a ceasefire. I am certainly. I don't know what it's going to do for anybody, but I certainly would support it.
So, just so I'm clear,
Yeah.
the ceasefire is just so they get humanitarian aid in, and once that aid is done, the ceasefire will be stopped?
We can all review this ceasefire, you know, the draft that was passed, and I'll send that all to you for, you know, we'll have a discussion about it, but I think it's just calling for a ceasefire for humanitarian aid, and that's to be brought in.
I know the United States has been airdropping things in every single day the last few weeks.
They did just
last
start
few days.
airdropping.
I mean,
It is.
Yeah, I know, but it's
Yeah.
better than, you know, it's back, you go back, and they did that back and after World War II in Berlin.
Yeah. So if everybody, if you know, if you all are open to it, want to see it, I'll just pass around what was passed in Newburgh and Beacon.
Sir,
Okay.
thank you.
I think it's horrific what's happened in the Middle East, and it's unfortunate that it has gone on this long, but terrorism is frightening for all of the communities impacted, but the loss of civilian life is also very disturbing, and I think, I'd be happy to review whatever you want to circulate, Jason.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Audience? Good?
Oh, happy Women's History Month, I think.
Yes, tomorrow is
Yes.
our day. Every day.
Tomorrow- Yes, and
True. Every day is your day.
That's right.
Sure.
Yes.
Megan would be disappointed.
Thank you. I knew it. I was like, I got till 8:30 here. Now,
We're not going to keep any. And I've already said this before, but I want to say it again. Nat Prentice from Garrison, and I'm this time speaking again on behalf of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, and I just want to thank you for the time that you've taken to listen to us bang on about the various action items that are in there and bringing a few to your attention, but it worked because we did have the solar, making a better solar policy on the list, and Jason jumped on it, or all of you jumped on it, and I think it's a good process, and I hope that you'll continue to listen and work, because keeping the comprehensive plan alive is just a really smart idea and sets you apart as a national leader in local municipal affairs.
yeah, I don't know if you were here, but they mentioned the comprehensive plan in the public hearing.
I know.
And you weren't even here to, absorb it.
Oh, I know. They
I
used.
mean,
Without you, we wouldn't have it, Matt, so I really
thank you.
appreciate the work that you put in, honestly.
Okay.
And-
Well, it's
and how
about
many
where we
years-
go from here, and every night is Martha night, right?
How many years have you-
Wednesday night.
How many years have you actually, you were on the original committee, correct? The 20.
Well, the original goes back to the 40s, and
Well, you were probably-
but no, there have been two updates. There was a 2001 update, and I was on that group, or part of that group, and we did it again. And you travel around and hear various counties and municipalities talk about it. We're in the minority. Most groups haven't looked at their comprehensive plan in 10 years. So you guys are way ahead of the game, and my job is to keep you way ahead of the game.
Thank you. Somebody's
I
got
know the state assembly is calling on, as part of their development of a housing plan, for towns to do comprehensive planning, and we've already done it, thanks to you.
Well, and we're going to take that, Judy, just take that point a little further, because there is this, and we haven't had a chance to really discuss it, whether it has ups and downsides, but I sent you, John, the other day about this notion of becoming a pro-housing community. And it's just a resolution and a little work on behalf of the building department, but it kind of puts you in line to get grants that could be related to some housing things that we may want to do in the future. It's just a resolution that says we are looking to be as active as we can be in ways that make sense for our community. But don't do anything. We can get this done for you. And we can discuss it before we do it. So I don't want you to do anything that you haven't thought about, but this one looks easy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
One day I won't stand up at a town board meeting.
well, don't say that. We enjoy having you.
I do have to make a comment. We were put on, and I took exception to this, and I think you guys saw it. We were put on a list of towns. There was 178 towns identified in New York State that did not allow public comment at their meetings, and we were put on that list. So I was like, it was from some group that evaluates towns, and it said that Phillipstown did not allow, and they said a meeting was March 2nd, 2023. So we pulled the video, and it was the meeting where we gave Mateo the award. The place was full of people, and the whole
What a
audience,
meeting to give
the
them.
whole audience spoke. And so I emailed, I called, and I got an email response. Oh, we're going to take you off. I was, well, why did you put us on to begin with? And I was like, usually you do the research before you generate these lists, but You were on the trail, I think, on the email. It was bizarre. It's like,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Thanks. So I know it says 0 vacancies again, but we do still have the vacancy on the bar. We do. Yes.
So we'll advertise. I guess.
Again,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, thank you. Approval of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. Highway.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. CVPD.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. CVWD.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a good night, folks. Thank you so much.